Now that I hit record, I kind of feel put on the spot. Even though I'm the one doing it. It's, I can't see what time it is because my phone is stupid. It's 5:23 a.m. I think it's Friday, November 22nd, 2019. This whole stand-up bit in my head about like a lot of the bit is I do in kind of an African American patois, and I defend it because I really did grow up right down the street from the projects. In the part of the hood of San Francisco that's right near Daly City. Yeah, in my head, maybe I sound like a cross between, like I only sound part black. So I argue that I am part black because that's where I grew up. That's where I grew up. And on stage I have this sort of staged conversation between me and the white audience, the mostly white audience. And I get to call them white and cracker and chalky. I just have to be able to practice it. You have to get it recorded, I guess, and like make an outline. It's just hard to do because it's after 5 a.m. and my wife is downstairs asleep. I think it'd be a pretty funny bit. A little hard to pull off, but I think I actually could pull it off in Portland. I think it's like perfect to pull off in Portland. And part of the context that comes out in the set is I work at PCC Cascade, and we have a really awesome population of students, and that includes a lot of black students, meaning African American, and a lot of students from Africa. And getting even more into that context, I guess I better pause. I'm literally composing a comedy bit or set in the bathroom while I'm on the toilet, but I'm gonna spare anybody that digs this up, but especially myself. So I paused the recording button for that one part, and so continuing with getting into the like going deeper into the context of the bit. Talk about how first I say Africans, but then like grouping together Africans with any description is kind of, I don't know, it's this weird generalization to like, it's implying that African is an ethnicity, but think about it, is European an ethnicity? Fuck no, European is not an ethnicity. And like, I'm not even sure we almost can't even count the number of ethnicities in Europe or on the African continent. And this goes along with the misunderstanding that Africa is not a country. It's like 37. It's like something like 37 countries. And then getting into like all the different cultures, the different ethnicities, and those aren't all like, I don't know what the word is. Like, not every ethnicity is just going to be just one culture, of course, and then like every culture is going to probably have multiple ethnicities, and you have, like, there's a lot of tribal influence on which group is what ethnicity, and I think like ethnicity is really difficult to pin down. But I don't know, I think studying Africa and then like maybe studying Europe alongside that, like parallel to that, and look at how complicated ethnicity and culture are, and ultimately the point would be that the term race has way too many problems, just in terms of like word meaning. I know there's a word for that, and it's a word I should know off the top of my head, but it's fucking after 5 a.m. and I don't know where this bit is going, but the word race is has a problem, and I'm trying to remember the other word. I don't think it's syntax. Maybe it is syntax. A syntactic problem. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. And so, yeah, there could be much deeper context that I can't really voice in the comedy bit, but I think what would be interesting is to have a comedy bit and then have something else that's like a parallel to it that explains some things in more detail, like if I put it out as an album and then I had a booklet, and like, there would be the jokes that make you like start to think about something, and then have a booklet and a CD that touches on things that people aren't thinking about enough. And so like when people don't think about something, there's no way they can appreciate it. And if it's not something that they appreciate, it's not something they're going to care to think about. So getting anybody to think about something and care about something is pretty rough. But I think you have a joke about something that you don't think you can make a joke about, you can actually start getting somebody to think about something, and then from there you can get them to care about something. I think like comedy has a lot of values, and I think that's one of them. That could be the most important one in terms of like broad, like cultural, historical, sociological power is through comedy. That's pretty sick. I mean, good sick. That's ballin'. And I have the right to say that because I grew up with poor black children when I was a white children. For a little while, my best friend was Tony, and we'll hang out and played outside a lot. And there was a lot of cool kids on my street, and we would hang out. And then I'm trying to remember the name of this one kid. I think his name was Cedric. And like I think we all recognized like Cedric was the coolest one. Coolest, like he was chill, and I don't know, there's something about him. And this was back when we were like, I don't know, somewhere between like the age of like 6 and 9. Maybe it's the whole time span or something. Um, I can't remember why Tony wasn't my best friend after a while. I think he might have moved away, or that must be it. I just sometimes parts of my childhood are fuzzy. Um, but for most of my childhood, my best friend was. We had the first name. He had the same first name as me, and seeing, not getting to see him as much, because for most of grade school we were best friends. I think it was like really early on, like probably first grade. I think we met first grade, and then in junior high. So like a long time later in those years, like an entire lifetime later, at that age in seventh grade, he had to go away and be in a mental hospital for adolescents, and I think that began to. I mean, I already become kind of stoic in must have been second grade, if not third, when my parents split up permanently. It wasn't. They were just lazy about getting a divorce, or they didn't. They weren't stressed about that. It was amicable enough. It just was not. There was no compromise or reconciliation to be made. And then I think the rest of the stoicism was formed when my friend went away in seventh grade. So when we were 12, about 12, so between the age of 7 and 12, I still had a friend to count on, and then he was gone, mostly gone. I talked to him again later, and he had some weird stories about the mental ward, just the weird kids that farting in the middle of the night and stuff like that, and just really just kids being kids. And they're 12 or 13 still being goofy kids, really, but locked up in a facility. But I think I could tell that there was something not happy about him kind of being stuck there for a while and not being able to live even a semi-normal life. And it could be one of the things that sent him there was his anger issues, and his anger issues were not his fault at all. I don't think he ever responded inappropriately. I think anger was totally appropriate. He was a black kid in middle school, and it's not that it was some kind of like overly white school. It wasn't. It was just like any other middle school in any part of San Francisco. It was completely different ethnicities in that school, and like I don't know, any school over in that half of the city is going to be practically like half black. So it was not like he didn't have peers or who should have been peers, but he didn't fit in with anybody. except me, I guess. Because I guess we were both different, and my friend, he didn't fit in with. I don't remember him hanging out with any black kids until maybe later, maybe much later on. I can't remember, but I don't remember him making many other friends at all. And but I think the worst is that he was rejected by other black kids because he wasn't athletic, and then there was no fallback because he wasn't like he couldn't get into academics. I don't think there was any subject that he really liked or was interested in or could excel at. He probably got a GED at some point. He might have got a GED before he even would have graduated from high school, just to get it finished. He was really smart, and I remember him being really funny. And we would, this was grade school and going into junior high, and we would just make the sickest jokes out of all kinds of stuff, and like stuff I couldn't even explain. Like, I got this, not plastic, it was like rubber figure. Like I don't think anybody makes any toys like this at all anymore. It was I don't know what toy company would make this. It was this really weird looking character, this just little rubber man, and with like it was almost like from a horror movie. Like maybe he was not a zombie, but just like gruesome looking, and like I don't know, I want to say like coveralls with only one strap, the other one hanging down, and they were green overalls, which looked weird on a toy, and like this little character was just like deranged and fucked up looking, and so I don't know how we came up with this, but we named him Diarrhea Man. And I don't know if this was like concurrent or pre Garbage Pail Kids, but it has that vibe to it because like this guy is fucked up, but he takes it and like he just constantly has diarrhea blowing out just anytime, all the time, every day. And then his life gets worse, and he starts getting mutilated, and like we cut parts off of the little rubber figure. I feel like rubber isn't right because like rubber still has some like durability or whatever. This is like soft rubber, not silicone, because I had that shit back then. So I don't know what you call that. And I don't know, this is a time in my life I think about from time to time. And I haven't thought about that for this bit, but I like it. And like Diarrhea Man was a hero to us. Like he was a tragic hero that we created. And like he was in constant grief, constant like suffering. But I think there was this weird strength because he was, I don't know, maybe because like he could express emotion, and I don't know if me and my friend were good at expressing emotion. But Diarrhea Man he was a man of constant sorrow. He was like in a living hell. And I don't know, it was like maybe he was our scapegoat. He was also our like tragic foil. And like we had this weird reverence, we had this weird love for Diarrhea Man, even though we were gradually destroying his body through our stories, and I don't know, yeah, like desire to maybe like take out our suffering on something that was not a person, because like neither of us were into being mean to anybody. Like we weren't good at it. Like if we could cut somebody down and gain the upper hand, I think we would have done it. But for the most part, we didn't have it in us. Like we did crank call this guy he knew because of something, and I didn't know anything about it, but it was funny at the time. But I think maybe in hindsight we thought a little better of it, and my mom kind of found out because I think I was just laughing at it, and yeah, I was like, oh yeah, we called this friend of his and we made fun of him and it was funny, and she's like, that's not okay. I'm really disappointed in you. I don't know why you would do that. And I felt remorse, and that was probably a good thing that at that early age, at the beginning of like when kids get into that, she pointed out, like I think it was the golden rule kind of thing. Like she was like, you wouldn't want somebody doing that to you, a stranger calling you up and fucking with you. And I think I got it. I definitely got it. What's fucked up is a few years later, I think when I was maybe just getting into, maybe just before high school, like maybe the summer before high school, so the summer after 8th grade, junior high, I got these phone calls from this girl I didn't know that apparently went to my junior high, and she was pissed, and she was saying that I was talking shit about her, and I said I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about, and I honestly did not even know who she was when she called. It was like a stranger calling you in like mistaken identity or something, and I might have said something to that effect. And it turned out that a friend of my friend, a friend of that friend, my best friend, so somebody that I guess they hung out, and I can't remember if his name was Joey, or because like we knew like 2 or 3 Joeys, and he might have been one of them. But so his cousin was this chick, and actually I can't remember if she went. I think she went to our school. She might have been a grade ahead of us or something. And Joey had convinced her that I was talking shit about her, by like basically calling her a slut and stuff, which is crazy because like, who the fuck in 8th grade should be calling anybody a slut? And like, who would be, like, nobody would be deserving of being called a slut anytime, but certainly not in 8th grade. That's fucking crazy. But she was convinced that I had been talking this shit, even though like I was a nobody, and I had never met her, never even seen her as far as I know, and she couldn't know anything about me, and just she heard from her cousin that I said these things, and I think she was making a bunch of threats that really sounded credible, because she was like, my friends are going to come over and beat your ass, and I was mortified and scared, and I don't know why I didn't just hang up the phone, and I think my mom was there, and she was like, who are you talking to? And I explained, this girl thinks I said all these things, and I don't know how to tell her, I don't know how to convince her that I didn't. I don't know what to do. I I can't even remember how we resolved that. I don't know if like my mom was like, I'm calling the cops. This is harassment. I don't know if I talked her out of it or if it, maybe we just stopped answering the phone for a couple days or what. But I don't know why my friend's friend, her cousin, had it in for me. I don't know, maybe he was like jealous that I was better friends with my friend. And my friend was more friends with me than he was with him. I don't know. Or maybe that guy we prank called was his friend, and that was never, and my friend never told me about that. It's interesting, like thinking, like like things really can get back to you when you don't realize it, and when you fuck with somebody, or you're inviting somebody to fuck with you. It's an invitation for you to get fucked with. And because that cruelty hurts. It really does. It's not a joke. Being cruel to people. But we don't even know, we don't even see our own cruelty when we're doing it, and it does start early in life. But, and I think one of the things, you don't have like an emotional and or creative outlet. But no, I think an emotional creative outlet is really critical to that. We had like a little doll that we like literally abused and put through hell, but it was just a rubber toy. It was not a person, and like for the most part, my friend and I were not mean kids. We had our issues, and because I don't think his mom knew how to deal with him at all, really, and didn't know. She loved him. You could tell that she really cared about him, and she showed him love. And like both his mom and grandma were, I think all in all, like pretty cool. But I think when he became more and more upset and angry at life and the really shitty social situation at school, he just couldn't deal with it. I remember this one day, I don't even know what set him off, but he had this sort of raggedy book bag, like the kind of book bag that really is like a gym bag, but I know he didn't give a shit about gym. It was just his book bag, and there wasn't much in it. It was like maybe like one notebook and like a small textbook. There wasn't much in it, and he was thrashing it around and hitting the bench in the schoolyard. Excuse me. He was hitting the bench in the schoolyard and the asphalt, the black top, with his book bag, and like slamming it like like a hammer, again and again. And I remember at that time, his like the clothing he had for school was kind of awkward. Like he had these slacks that like are somehow not quite just, I don't know, not really the right fit. And he probably had like a jacket. It could have been like a London Fog jacket. Probably it was either that or like a velour sweatshirt. Yeah, kind of a little awkward for a black kid in the 80s. But not unheard of. Just like neither one of us were at all one of the cool kids. And I like velour also, don't get me wrong. That was definitely my shit in grade school, and I probably still had one or two going into junior high. But anyway, I remember that freak out he had in the schoolyard, and I didn't want my friend to be unhappy anymore. But I think that was near the end of being able to see him at all. But there was no thinking that I had any power to change anything. It wasn't even a question. But I probably did ask my mom, is he going to stay there for a long time? And why do they think there's something wrong with him? He was just unhappy with school. Why are they locking him up? Why are they taking my friend away from me? Who the fuck are they? Why are they taking away my friend? Why are they leaving me here like this? Who the fuck do they think they are? A bunch of doctors locking up a kid for being angry. But it was his family's fault too, because it was clear that maybe he did need medication. In addition to his anger, he had very clear obsessive compulsive symptoms. It was a part of making him antisocial or asocial or not able to connect to anybody in 7th grade except me. He was paranoid about his breath. He was paranoid about germs being on anything that he was eating. But again, the things in a more ideal social setting would not prohibit somebody from making friends and from talking to teachers and participating at school, but we're talking 1987. And there's a lot of adolescents and teenagers out there that are a lot more aware about things now than they were back then. I hope my generation is giving a lot of credit to the changing culture of adolescence. And I think also like the establishment needs some credit for addressing bullying now more than they ever did in the past. And it's funny to say institution because like bullying has been an institution for decades, so many years. And I can't imagine anybody didn't get bullied when I was going through grade school and middle school. One not too small victory I had in high school was so like the high school I went to was way smaller and not as tough for the most part. It wasn't. The social climate still wasn't quite right for me. Oh no, so I'm pretty sure I had a chip on my shoulder by the time I got to high school. But maybe that was good because there was one guy who tried to be my bully, I guess. I guess that's what he was trying to do. It's almost hard to tell what he thought he was doing. But he was taller than me. He was blonde. He honestly looked like the antagonist in Karate Kid. What was his name? Johnny. Yeah, it was Johnny. Johnny in Karate Kid. Who, interestingly enough, is definitely the protagonist in the sequel TV show many years later. It's pretty interesting. I know some people have seen it, and people try to say that the blonde kid is the protagonist in the movie as well, and Daniel's doing all this fucked up shit to him, and he's just trying to, regulate. Johnny's just trying to regulate Danny being a jerk from. Where's he from? Detroit or Queens or I don't know where Daniel's from, but come on, Johnny is an asshole, okay? Like, he's still an asshole. Daniel doesn't know any better. He's still a kid, and he's just trying to get some chick to hang out with him. So back in high school, this guy tried to get the best of me so many times, and every single time I would beat him because he would try to beat me at some sport in gym class, and I was really good on defense, and so he would miss most of his shots or goals or baskets or actually maybe I didn't do any good in basketball. I just try to hold up, and I think maybe I held up in basketball even if it wasn't an outright victory. But we would play indoor soccer, we would play floor hockey, and my D was good. My D was strong for a short kid. And this gangly, blonde, tall kid really could not score. And there was other stuff I beat him at. There was some sort of game during this 1 week. I don't know what the why it was that week. There was this game, and it involved playing cards, and so everybody kept a playing card on them. It was a week long. What was that game called? Murderer or Spy or whatever. And it turned out he had the ace of spades, which meant that he, if he'd have to catch you alone and show you the card, and that meant you're dead, you're out of the game. And I feel like he waited until the last couple days of the week, because that's when the game would be over, is at the end of the week, and other people would die, and I think, well, you had to sign up for the game. It's not like everybody had to play, so maybe there's only a dozen of us that were yeah, we'll play that game. And yeah, I think this is later on in high school, so my confidence was up from what it was before. And I think he and I were the last two, or maybe there was one other one, but I think he and I might have been the last two, and so it was obvious to me who the killer was. And he tried to save me for last and be all slick and have this great finale. And I think one of the things was he just wasn't quite as bright as he thought he was. He wasn't dumb. Like he actually did all right in math and probably science, and so he wasn't a dumb kid. Um, at the time, I probably thought on some level he was, and I was right. He was dumb on some level. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe I hope he didn't try to go into the military because I think maybe he had a really bad situational awareness. He just didn't keep his head about him. Um, Obviously he had some kind of chip on his shoulder, maybe just different from mine. And so it was the last day of the Ace of Spades game, and I think somehow I saw him, but he didn't quite see me, or he wasn't really thinking ahead. And I think I saw him go in the bathroom or the locker room, and I already knew nobody was in there, and he wasn't thinking about it. And I think so when you think you know who the killer is, you just have to say something like, "Do you have the Ace of Spades?" And I think you have to be alone, or yeah, I guess so. It has to be a special situation for you to get them. I think they just have to show you the card, and just however they can get away with that. However, yeah. Um, so I didn't have to corner him, but I did catch him alone somewhere. And oh no, it was maybe I knew the hallway was empty and he wasn't expecting that.